Oh dear, what a waste of 40 minutes of mine and probably your life. Look, when I did the display capture, I think it was just showing the back of the Excel book, so you didn't get to see the pop up bit, which was pretty much pointless. Anywho, I ain't got anything better to be doing in my life, have I? So let's just go again. Oops, sorry, that's the old video. Excuse the noise. Look at the rookiness of me. Look, basically, I'm going to do it again now. Show you the Excel thing properly. Sorry, that's more adverts flagging up in my ear. Just making sure that it's showing up. I'm going to flick across to the display capture and we'll see. I'll start talking. I should have noticed this last time, so I'm so sorry. We'll go through the Excel stuff. Yeah, just have a look at them. The point of doing this for anyone that watches it after is that I'm happy to be open and honest with you guys. People will have maybe preconceived ideas of what I might stake or how I might bet things. I like to be as open and honest just to show what I do. I know roughly over the last between 10, 15, it was over 10 years, probably closer to 15 years that I've been making money at Cheltenham, how my betting patterns work, the things that I need to do to make things better, which is why I look at the bet loader, which I've created, which is what we'll go on to now. So I'll talk through a few bits in there, and I'm just sorry for anyone that watched the last one and missed all the bits in the background. But anywho, there's my screen showing up, so that is my OBS. But now I'm going to pull up the Excel spreadsheet, so you should see everything that's going on via this spreadsheet. So fingers crossed that's the case, it's going in there. What you would have missed last time is these pop-ups that I was pulling up and talking about, referencing. So I'm sorry, look, I know I've got to go through it again, and if anyone watched it before, but you will see it all on the screen now, and it was pointless doing it the other time, so hey-ho. So we'll just kick off with the headline figures that are in here. I've staked just over £5,000. I know roughly that's about where I'm going to end up. Some years, depends how things have gone. That's why typically if I'm having a bet on something, it's usually about 25 quid, might be something like I might have 50 if I fancy a bit. You'll see some stakes that are in here. There's £25 roughly-ish is about where I go. So I'm about 0.5% in terms of a point towards where my end bank's going to be. And if you're betting anti-post and you're scattergunning it like I like to do and many other people like to do, you just need to have the foresight that you've got to have a bank big enough to be able to take it. Now, I do use money that I bet through the year, might win some money, but at the end of the day, you might go through a lull and you might need some cash to one side. So obviously gamble responsibly. If you're betting anti-post and you're sticking bets on, then you can bet quids and it will soon start to build up, especially with some of the prices that we go in at. You can see my live stakes just under £4,000. So live is 29% down. So I've lost 29% of the money that I've staked. So I know that lots of people will look at anti-post punting, especially when there's non-runners going, oh, this is why I never bet anti-post. You lose all your money before you even get there. Well, you don't. You lose a percentage of it. But the value that you get, in theory, we're aiming to make that outweigh the losses. So we'll come on to how that's worked out for me. And I talk about quite a lot that I like to back mostly singles. You can see that it's just over 70% this time round. Hey ho, it is what it is. We'll come on to the dollar bills, y'all, sign, just to show where we are. Do you know what? Maybe I'll do it at the start. Maybe because I made everyone wait last time. We'll peel it up now. Quickly just show you some other bits. A few buttons that are within here. This shows my horse values. So although I might not have, well, I don't have, £286 on Honeysuckle. If Honeysuckle and Shishkin are in a double, that would be double counted, but it gives me an idea of the weight that I've got on some horses. So if I fancied a horse and then all of a sudden I think actually I haven't got as much on it as I would like to have had, I might want to boost them up. Something that's running later in the week that I might like, I might want to put some more on, I potentially can. And I don't want to get over my head on certain horses, so there might be one that I fancy quite a bit, but I don't want to be so heavy on a single horse. So that's the spread on there. We can have a similar look to the race values. We can see which race we got stuck into. Obviously they'll be similar to the horses that I've backed, but you know, when I'm looking at handicaps anti-post wise, I'll see which races I've got stuck into and ones that I might want to have a revisit to. This top line number here, which I showed in the last episode of the Bet Loader, basically is calculating of the odds that the bookies are currently offering for every single horse that's running. I updated everything yesterday and then updated again today for the Wednesday decks. This is how much it would cost me today to potentially set up the exact same returns. So there's loads of bets that are dead that I wouldn't need to stake to make them look the same as before. But the required stakes to date now to make them look the same is 8,831. Now, if I was to clear all these zeros, the required stakes now would be this number here, this total stake live. But this is now taking into consideration the prices now. So ultimately, if I was going to have the book that I've got now with the potential returns that I've got now, it would cost me £3,500 for conversation's sake more. It would cost me 64% more than I've currently staked. So that's a win from the off as far as I'm concerned. Not every year would look as good as this. Some years have never looked as good as this. Some years I've been in negative and I probably would have been better to hold fire, but
is the game, the nature of the beast. We just hope we get some luck and we get through to start with, and then we just hope we get some results after. So that's where that is. That's a new add-in that's in the bet load, which sent out to people. Which you haven't got it now, it's too late. Then this is all the horses' prices. Now, all the horses that are listed here, you will not see on the next bit I'm going to show you when we go for it race by race, because this includes horses that are in there for multiples. But for the purpose of being able to do this, they need to be in this list. Now, we're going to go through race by race. I won't over talk about this bit because I've talked about it before, but basically this shows the live stakes, so what's left, the lost stakes, so there'll be anti-post dead bets, and then the combined stakes obviously is the sum of those two. Using the combined stake, we can look at the returns of a horse to potentially work out what the lowest relative odds are, so in terms of stake to payout, and the highest payout in terms of stake to payout, what the percentage chance in terms of odds that looks like. The colour scheme on here is green if you've beaten the price per horse, orange if you're the same, red if it's bad, and this percentage chance here, this is green if your chance is better than your lowest payout, is amber if it's better than the highest but it's not better than the lowest, so it's in between, and then it's red if you've just ballsed up the race completely or you're not involved. So in this instance, £135 staked in the Supreme. Obviously I haven't got Appreciate in here. You saw on the previous list he's covered in lots of stuff, but for the other ones, like I've done okay on the book. Obviously for Pleasures in there is a bit of a punty one. If you took him out and then looked at 135 going to return 500 quid for any of the other ones that could come in, that's better than a 9 to 4 poke. So fairly happy with how I've played those bets. We'll come on to Appreciate it later in the multiples, but it's the joy of backing anti-post. You can get some bigger prices and take a bit of a punt. Forecast festival winners down here. Now, this is calculated by the percentage chance each horse has got and adding them all up across the festival to work out how many winners that equals. So, if you've got an even money poke, it has a 50% chance of winning the race. If you've backed 2 even money pokes, you've got a 100% chance. That means that one of those is going to win. That's one winner in the bank. Now, obviously, bookies are betting over around 20%. You want to take some slush off. It's about 17% to reduce it. But for conversation's sake, let's take 3.5 winners off of this. I'm looking somewhere between 14 and 15 winners for the festival. That is the percentage chance that I've got on those current bookies odds, and then taking away a little bit of slush. So, as I say, a coin flip, just because it's 50-50 doesn't mean you're going to get 2 different results. You could get heads for the rest of your life. But we know, again, also that the law of averages, the way that it balances out and all those sort of things, it should be fine. So it's just a way of me showing where I might be with it to build a bit of confidence. And that's what these anti-post things do. Lots of people, when we get non-runners, will make you feel deflated, make you feel crap before the festival. Come back to your good old bet load and this will give you the all hard, honest truth of how you're doing. So Arkle, Shishkin, backed him from the start of the season. The lost stakes in there are going to be mostly a Nergamine, to be honest, but this still works out. Look, Shishkin's a 1 to 2 poke, and I'm going to get paid out at 2 to 1 on him because 265 for the fact I'm going to get HE5 back. So I'm in a great position in the Arkle, regardless of the fact I've got no cover. And you'll see from the Supreme, and you'll see from other bets or other races as we go on, I like to get cover. So it's the only thing that's making it squeaky bum time for the Shishkin Arkle is that it looks too good to be true. Hey ho. Ultima, again, I've beaten the prices on these. The way that it's been staked, I'm heavier onto some than others. Happy Go Lucky was back from the start of the season. Fairly happy with the booking there. I know iRight's being supported. It's a handicap at the end of the day, so I wouldn't be ever overly confident of getting a winner in a handicap. But as the odds stand now, it's a 50-50 chance whether I'll get a winner or not. And given that it's a 50-50 chance if I'll get a winner or not, the fact that one of them potentially pays 1,500 quid makes me feel fairly good. That's obviously the one that we'd like to go in. There are some other horses from multiples which we'll come on to a little bit later on in the video, but hey ho, it is what it is. And you'll notice the theme when we go through the handicaps. Like, I'll have okay-ish stakes and cover across them in comparison to the other ones, but there won't be as many multiples and there won't be as many make or break horses in there either for the festival. Hopefully with the bet loader it teaches me enough to be able to view through the season that I'm not heavily reliant on 1 or 2 horses winning. Champion Hurdle, look at this, there's hundreds in here. Now this is a recent example of where I've used the bet loader to tidy things up. Now you can use the exchanges to back and lay, you can trade, you can do different bits and pieces with it, but ultimately the Champion Hurdle, I had no Goshen and no Sharjah in here, or Goshen. As I'd staked 212.50. I was thinking Saudi might go county, and that was a non-run and no bet. So I was thinking I might go down to £200 worth of stake. And then for the sake of just backing Goshen for 50 quid, that means that I'd have staked 250 for the race in its entirety. It would have increased this by another 20% chance of it actually happening, and it just means I've got cover on him. Sharjah as well, I just thought too big a price. For another 12.50, I could just get a bit of cover on him. So basically what's happened here is I've used this to look at it and think, do you know what, just to make myself in a very strong position in this race. We don't have to be really bullish with opinions and it's all Barry Big Spuds about, oh, look how risky I am. Like, I like to be risk adverse where I can in these races. I've got a 90% chance of winning this race, 265 quid stake. Look, if Sharjah or Goshen come in, it's a tiny, tiny loss. Epitank goes in, it's a bit of a profit, but Honeysuckle we saw was loaded in terms of total coverage across everything. You can see from the odds, I've got a ton on at those average odds, but there was 285 worth of cover across other races, so she's important for further things. But even Abacadabras potentially could be a payday, so fairly happy with that. Although I've backed a lot of horses and I've sort of mugged myself off with a £50 bet to try and claw 200. And I talk about not one horse being the make or break of the festival. If my festival hinges on winning 200 quid or losing 200 quid, I'll be a bit worried about the festival as a whole. But just to be smart, I didn't do it with Epitant last year, and I could have done so. Just balance the book. Mares Hurdle, the only thing I've backed in here is Dame de Compagnie. Didn't really have too much of an opinion in the race. When I thought Benny was going Mares Chase, people were saying, what about Honey for the Mares? I was thinking, no, she could probably be a champion hurdler. I should have looked for third back. But I think Concertista was only 10s at the start of the season, so I don't know how much I'd have got into her. But you can see that the relative odds, 7-1 poke, but I can get paid just slightly over. There are some lost stakes in there from, I don't even remember what the other ones are, but you know, as much as I've backed it at a bigger price to cover those lost stakes as well in there, that's eating into a bit of the value. National Hunt Chase, I've got quite a few covered in here. I haven't got Galvin in this particular bet. He's in some multiples. Not a vast variety of multiples. We'll go on to them a little bit later on. Next Destination, I put up an ante-up, fancied him. Glad that he's coming here. I think he's got a proper chance. He's the best paying single anyway. He's only in a couple of doubles. But you can see again, percentage chance, 55% chance of actually getting the winner on 8-11 poke. Most of the payouts away from Ascaria 10 are better than that 8-11. So everything's double or treble or 4 times it. So good position to be in. And then Ascaria 10, when it ran behind Eclair de Rire, I thought this would be the right race for it. The handicap saga was going on after the Musselburgh entries from Elliott. I just sort of got a bit sidetracked and I should have backed him at a bigger price. I didn't, but hey ho, suck it up, Dave. Rather than sticking 20 quid on a horse, you might have to stick 40 quid on it. And again, in the grand scheme of me staking shit like £25 is a 0.5% of my balance, then to have to stake 20 instead of 10, or 20 instead of 40, or 40 instead of 20, marginal, and just take the hit. Juvenile handicap, I haven't played this one very well, to be honest. I was thinking the field might cut up a little bit. I know it has, but nowhere near as much as I was kind of hoping it would be. Don't really like the ones towards the head of the market with the weight. And Willie Mullins hasn't got a very good record in the race. He says with a Willie Mullins horse back to near. Sage Advice I do still quite like. Again, I was hoping it was going to cut up for him. This wouldn't be my strongest book, as you can see. I've staked 130 odd quid in there. 220 could be the worst of a winning payout, as high as 650. So it's not a mega race. That'll be the sort of race where I wouldn't be expecting to get anything out of it, despite having a third chance of getting something. But that's the way that I'd see it. Like I wouldn't be very confident in it. Ballymore, you can see we've got that nailed. I've backed to the big three at better prices than they are now, so that's all green. Optimised Prime, before he was a non-runner in the Leamington Novices at Warwick, I fancied him to potentially step up and improve a bit, so I wanted to get some cover on him, but no need for that. But you'll see this is a good example. There's some lost stakes in there. The actual stakes in total is 160 quid for the race, so it's not that heavy considering I'm in a good position. Relative chances are 1-9 poke, and the worst payout's 9-4. Best payout, if we forget Optimised Prime, just drop it down to the 700, is about 100-30 poke. So very good position for the Ballymore. You'll see later on that there's potentially a couple of doubles and stuff, but not heavy. RSA, I didn't back Monkfish at the start of the season at 10s like a clown. Well, I did back him, and I actually cashed out and moved it onto different types of bets. But hey ho, is what it is. We backed the big breakaway in the summer, like I think plenty did. Eclair de Rire, I put him up on ante-up. Thought he was National Hunt Chase bound after he beat Escaria 10 and Pencil for the Lead. HDB, Henry de Bromhead, came out and said we're probably going to go for the RSA, and fair enough, so I switched the bet, chopped out the profit from cash out on the National Hunt Chase and stuck it on the Festival Chase, which is why the odds are slightly lower than the actual price of back to map, but I used the original stakes to work out the balance. Look, Monkfish is going to probably win this race. You can see there's a good amount of lost stakes in there. So, beginning of the season, I half thought that Envoy might end up in this race. I know everyone's saying that Gordon never said he would. I wanted, for my own sanity, to put a bet on that I couldn't cash out of. Almost punishment in it. I'm just an average bloke, who cares? So that was 75 quid of this, I reckon. I can't 100% remember what some of the other ones were, but obviously I've had a few that lost in there. Oh, the Big Getaway as well cost me a few quid. And I almost had a chance to cash him out. But look, from a live stake and combined stake perspective, it's no wonder that although I've beaten the prices, the relative odds and the payouts aren't great. But it's good to see that it's amber. It's in between those two. So it's not like I've had a mare in terms of the stakes, but I'm still potentially able to recoup a better payout than the relative odds, if you see what I mean. So the highest payout of 850, if the big breakaway did go in, off of the £190 I've staked in this race, if I put that on these two to get the cover now, I wouldn't be able to get that much back. So not the worst position, but by far not the greatest. Coral Cup, I got a few in there, backed them at reasonable prices. You see Grandmoir's in there nicely. Craig Neesmith's got a bit of a chance. Sneaky Getaway. Someone put up in the comments. I was looking at the decks earlier today. He was 75 on the exchange. I was going to have a fiver on him on there. Didn't, so I've just had 15 now after he's been declared. So could have played that better. I haven't. But again, when we look at the colour scheme, this is where it's a better example where they're fairly balanced in terms of like payouts. Nice round £100 has been staked on this. The chance of me getting a winner is almost the same as the Boodles, really. But it's a 7-4 poke, and the worst payout's just under 3-1, and the best payout is 5-1. So can't really argue in a race like that. But again, it's a handicap. Don't really care. Well, I do care, but Queen Mother got nothing in there for singles, so move on. You can see there's some lost stakes in there. Goddamn Deffy de Soy. Cross country, nothing in there. Got easy sland and a couple of multis, so we'll see how that goes. Grand Annual. So annoyed. It's the right thing they've done, but I'm so annoyed that Eldorado Allen's not coming here. I think he's much better than his mark. The Zanza line of form where he batted at the beginning of the season says that. Even his run behind Shishkin, I think, is fairly solid. But they had to go, didn't they? There was only 4 runners at the time of the end of the declaration, so you might as well pop him in and let him have a go. And can't be afraid of one horse, but they've annoyed me. A few I've backed in here, and Tukas and Bitted, plenty to run them anyway. A shooter Nichols said was coming here. Bad bet, really. Zanza's probably a bad bet as well, but I just thought behind Sky Pirate when he fell, he probably would have won that day, so I just wanted to get him on the team sheet. Us and them I do fancy a little bit, nothing strong, and Chosen Mate's got Gainford on board, so Matt messaged me and said you might as well get him in the book, so I have done. Champion Bumper, you'll see there's no Sergehard in here. He's in a few multiples, nothing major, but obviously I've got a bit of cover with him, so the percentage chance that we've got here, which is green, it's better than what it could be. It's an 11-8 chance I've got of getting the winner in this. And the lowest payout is 5-2 poke, but that's cool jet, so it's not going to be that. And then the highest payout is the 6-1 poke. Well, it ain't going to be a Ramilli. So it's somewhere in between those, about £100 staked. It works out as about an 11-2-ish poke, doesn't it? A 9-2-ish poke to get paid the 550-ish of kill crit, which is the most likely to come in. So done all right there in terms of stake and relative payout. Sergehard, I've got in those multiples, like I say, you can add another 33% to this percentage chance figure if you wanted to say that how likely I am to get something from the bumper. But obviously, if Sergehard's only in multiples, then other things need to happen as well. Now, the Marsh, Envoy's obviously the one. I had the silly RSA bet at the start of the season. Now I wish I'd had that 75 on him at 5-1, didn't I? But I didn't. Fusel Raffle Chantry House, I just backed any race right at the start of the season. I knew Fusel stepping up in trip would be a help. I was half hoping he'd balls up a little bit early in the season, might end up as a stable plate horse, but hey-ho, they're in the race, aren't they? It's not the greatest. The £20 loss stake in there is the loss of Easy Work. Is what it is, but you'll see low stakes considering the type of race that it is. We'll come on to how Envoy's been backed in other bits later. Potemps is in here, handicaps, fiddly one anyway, but percentage chance from the odds, the horses that I've got, it's a 50-50 chance whether I manage to get a winner, apparently. Again, think of the overround, so it's probably just away from that. But you'll see, look, the amount I've staked, we've got Mohayed, another past horse that's in here. The stakes are close to 200 quid, so it's fairly heavy for a handicap. But a lot of that is because of Champagne Platinum. Like, I had 40 quid on him. I fancied him to qualify. I thought he'd shorten up. You put yourself in positions here where I could potentially cash. I could potentially trade that. I could lay a bit and still put myself in a good position. But for the sake of the 40 quid in the grand scheme that I've got £5,000 bet in bank for this or total stake, I'll just leave it all. I don't like to just pick and choose which ones I'm dropping out of unless there's a reason to. So if a horse is acting up in the pre-parade, I might decide to do something with it. Or if there's go-in changes or even sometimes some really specific comments. But Mrs. Milner was going to be shortened up. Don't think she really stays. The Bosses Oscar's a fairly obvious one. Again, if Gameford's on him, that's going to be a massive plus. Milner, if he gets in, I think he's got a bit of a chance. Come on, Teddy, I think needs soft ground, and I think Connections were aiming for something else away from Cheltenham before, and they didn't run for whatever reason. The meeting's abandoned. Spirit of the Games, I think, has got a bit of a chance. But again, it's not going to make or break my festival what happens in here, but we've got the potential for it to be a nice return if I get lucky with the Platinum. Ryanair, a race I've talked about in all the previews that I struggle to get a real confident handle on. I almost pitched this with the Gold Cup in terms of how confident I could be of finding a winner. You'll see there's a few bits of green in there. I'm okay with the position I'm in. Min's a horse that I probably will feel like I'm going to have to back, but we'll just see how things go. Obviously, it's the Thursday. We've got time to look into those horses, so we might do a bit with that. Just backed a few in here. Samker, I just think he's going to shorten a bit and give him a bit of a chance. Menon I've only backed because he's not going to go for the Gold Cup, and I'd backed him in there, so that's all lost money. Fakir's in here. I had backed him bigger. I cashed that, moved on to something else in the interim. So I missed a bit of price when I backed him back. And then Allaho just wanted to get on the team sheet, and obviously he's in there, so that's okay. Stairs Hurdle, Time Hill's gone. That's the loss of the £25 in there. It was only him or Paisley I really fancied for the race, so the fact that he's not running, and he wasn't loaded, but it's like slightly annoying because just means that it's Paisley really running for me. Got Fury Road in there, backed him any race. Found out he was going to stay over Hurdle, so went in a little bit more for the Stairs Hurdle with him. There was recent talk that he might not come to Cheltenham, but I think I'm hoping he will come over. Look, even if he doesn't, the £200 worth of stake that's in there, just under, Paisley's going to pay the 600 quid. So in theory, as much as I could have waited to the day with the loss of, if it does happen, the loss of Fury Road and the loss of Time Hill, I still would have had to stake more than I've totally staked on the race to get the same return. So it's an okay position to be in, not a worldie, but we'll see. Stable play, I do really like Sully Dock now. If they run him here, they've pulled him out the Grand Annual. We'll see what happens. There's another JP horse dead right down the bottom of the weights. Don't think that'll get him, but another one that's interesting. Kilteely Briggs is a horse I like a bit of a sucker for. Caribbean Boy, I think he sulks too much, but I wanted to get him in. Some of these were placed when we knew that Conflated wasn't going to come. Far Class was in there. He's probably the longest anti-post bet I've got in this race. He's probably the only one that's not non-running a bet, to be fair. And then Phil's Dudery, another one I was just getting vibes that he was going to shorten. So not my finest hour, but meh. It's only a handicap in it. Mare's Novice Hurdle. Now, Gal Louise, I talked about this in the last couple of videos. There's noise. I say noise. There's movements on the exchange that suggest that not all well or she's not going to run. Who knows whether she's going to turn up or not. So if she comes out, that's 62.50 of lost stakes that will be added to this. Obviously, the combined stakes will stay the same because that's the total figure, but the cash outs have been removed. If I could cash out, I'd be taking some off of her, but is what it is. Glens of Antrim, just the breed, and I backed her before she ran 50 odds to 1. So the fact there's support for her is nice, I suppose. Glancing Queen, I'd give a bit of a chance. She backed her early in the season. Hook Up, backed her after the last run, knowing she was going to shorten up. I know some people are on at bigger prices, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on her. And Royal Kahala looks nice enough. Another one that I just think is going to shorten up, or I did when I backed it. So like I'm okay. I'm happy enough with that race. It's not one I'm overly excited about in terms of steaming into. Obviously, you can see I've had a few pokes there. Not got it always right, but you look at it, you just like hopefully we'll get some luck and we've got the winner in there. We claw a bit of profit in that race. Not much more to say about that. But it is nice for the mare's scheme. That I think the mare's hurdle, Constantius is the standout one, but most of them in behind are like high 140s, 150s mares. So the depth is starting to get there now. And the fact that this mare's novice hurdle is competitive for once is another good thing because we've had so many years where there's been wide margin winners. This looks on paper like it could be competitive. Kim Muir, there's a few that we've got in here. I managed to cash out of my Ron Wild Fred for a little bit of profit, so he would have been in here, but it doesn't need to be because he's not a dead bet. Shanty Flower only backed because I like the horse. Backed him when he got beat by Kustar Savola. Nichols said he was running here, so I backed him. Time to Get Up's the one that I really, really fancy in here. Now, the last live that I did, Joe put a comment up saying, "You're not worried about him being in the Midlands National." Well, no, I don't. I think he's going to come here. I've backed him already. I think he'll go off short. Like I really can see this horse going off 5 to 2-ish. So he'd be one that I'd be tempted to have a bit more on the day. Obviously, this is my anti-post bet. I don't do that much during the week, but I might have another few £100 worth. He's one that I'm looking to back. And as I touched on before, I might be looking at backing Min as well. But Time to Get Up, I fancy him. If they declare him and there's a bit of weight behind him, then I'm tempted to have a chunk on him. I think he just ticks all the boxes, looks real good for it. Plan of Attack I backed last year, was coming back to a bit of form at Christmas, so just thought I'd take a little bit of a flyer on him. Hold the note. Me and Darryl did a preview, and I felt obliged to back him, but like half agree. He just doesn't win, does he? And then Bob Marler from last year, I could give him a bit of a chance. So not my finest hour in this race, but Time to Get Up's one that I'm very excited to see on the Thursday. Like if someone said to me, "What's your handicap good thing?" Time to Get Up would be the one that I'd be most expecting of winning. Forget prices, forget value, any of that sort of stuff. I think he's just going to win. So we'll see. Triumph, Tax Max, I backed him before we ran the last day when he was just so keen, like unbelievably keen. Just took a bit of a flyer in case he ran well there. So we'll see. Xana here, I made a bit of a boo-boo on when the Gordon Gate came out. I got a bit panicky and I looked at a few anti-post bets I had that weren't non-run and no bet and started to chop a few of them. So I had 50 on him at sevens or 6-1, which I changed, cashed it out and then put it to non-run and no bet. And obviously now I wish I hadn't done that. And I swapped a Shishkin Envoy bet as well. Cost me about 90 quid on there. So stupid, but we all get like this. Like things wreck your head a little bit. I could have chopped a lot more than I did. I think I had at that point about £2,500 worth of bets on Bet365, and I moved a £25 double and a £50 bet. Hey ho, it is what it is. I think Xana here wins now. French's Ill's not in here. Managed to cash some of his ones for profit, but some of that lost money in there will be some French's Ill bets that I couldn't get out of. Where are we up to now? County Hurdle, Claire de Beaufort. I think that's got a proper chance in here. So that's still a backable prize. Ganapathi Matt keeps telling me he's going to win, so I had to back that. Cade Boy, I like that through a line with Fleur, but punty more than anything. And 50 balls a bit punty as well. Gal Road for the Twisters, I might want to back in this as well. But again, it's the Friday. They'll be formed from the week. I'll probably hold tight now before I back anything else. But a few quid staked in there. It's not the greatest looking book, is it? When you've got a relative chance of 9-4 and your highest payout is 5-2, despite that being amber, that's best part of being red anyway in it. So I probably could have held fire on that race. Albert Bartlett, you'll see all the green that's in there. There's some lost stakes. The majority of those lost stakes are probably going to be appreciated, to be fair. Thinking he was a stayer for the season. So yeah, I think I at least had 50 on him at the start of the season. So puts you in a bad position because you've lost more than you've got live at this stage. So I could have probably waited a little bit. But you're looking at the percentage chance of getting a winner here. It is an 8-13 poke. Off of your 230 odd quid that you'd be putting in there, anything over a few £100 would be okay. So looking at the book that I've got left, anything other than Barbados Bucks pays better than the percentage chance. So I've done better by backing Anti Post despite losing all those prices. There's just a few monster prices in there. Streets of Doyen, he's still 25. Vanilla still 25s, but the Statler one stands out. 40s, he's now 9-2, and then Fakira at 25s, he's now 11-2. So feel okay in that race. Tory Graph, we'll just see how things play out with him, but I'm not sold. But we'll see. Looks okay for me on that book, but who knows? I might have another few bets. Gold Cup, again, touched on this before. It's not one that I get overly enthused about from a punting perspective. I backed Albon Photo because I had some money in a Betfair account and they did a special. I backed Frodon because I can't have a King George winner going off double figure price. And I backed Santini because there was headgear on him. These lost stakes that are in here is going to be some melon, it's going to be some delta work, and it's going to be some top of the game. Shame on you, Dave. And again, look, you look at my relative chance, 5-4 poke. Relative best payout is just over that. Could have just waited, couldn't I? Fox Hunter, done all right in this, I suppose. The £25 loss is alone among millions that I put up on the anti-up show. Look, 6-5 chance of getting the winner, and the lowest payout's 3-1, the highest payout's 4-1. Low stakes, low returns, no more to say really. Martin Pipe backed a few in here. Galloping to Champs I like. He's £3 higher than Gentleman Demi for Willie Mullins, but off of Racing Post ratings there was, I don't know, £23. There's a stupid amount between them, £16, something like that. I don't know. I know that's only other people's figures, but I think Galloping de Champs still a reasonable price. I like Fire Attack. I think he's still a reasonable price. They might be two that I'd back in a little bit more. Obviously, I backed Fleur at big price there. He's shortening up. I wouldn't want to be putting much more on him, but he's in a couple of multiples, so we'll see how things stand by the time to come to Friday before I might put any more money on. So we'd leave that as it is. I feel okay with it. It's only 100 quid's worth of stakes. 9-4 is my relative odds. Lowest payout in there, look, 13-8. But then you move up from that 100 quid. You've got a 9-4 poke there, pretty much from Dallas to Picton. That was a long far out bet. I've got most of those paying better than my relative odds, so that's not far off being a green race as far as I'm concerned. Mayor's Chase, the less we say about this, the better, really, isn't it? Because Benny's not here. Benny cost me a few quid. Now, I did cash out some of those for profit on those. It doesn't factor that into the bet loader, but hey-ho, there might be a couple that I cash for losses, although I know I make more out of cash out than I'd lose in variance. The loss stakes, the ones that I couldn't get out of in a... so yeah, bollocks to it, basically. That's the races, and I know a couple of those were in the wrong order. That was obviously my total book that was in there, saying about the difference that it would have staked. We'll have a look at the bets day by day now. But before we do that, this list here are literally my singles that pay the most. So you can see Happy Go Lucky would be the biggest single payout. As the week goes on and I've got some multiples, I can add in results using the bet loader. And then once I add those results in, it will move the multiples across. So let's just say Appreciate it goes in, and it means that Bob Ollinger's now running for another grand. It will move that across. So when it comes to me looking at this after tomorrow, fingers crossed, a few winners have gone in, and then this list will start to jump up. We've had a few years back. We had Native River went for quite a few £1,000s. Santini was going for a few £1,000s that day. We had Paisley last year going for £4,000, and it just didn't work out. So we obviously need that bit of luck. But the way that I try and stake with the majority of singles, I'd like to think that if I got my 14 winners that were listed up on there, there's some low payouts that are in here, but you know, the average is going to be like 400 odd quid in there, I think. From what I've staked, like I'd hope to be okay just off the singles, and then any multiples are just a bonus, really. I don't want to talk about this for too long. I know I did in the last video, but hey ho, you want to see it, I guess, and I want to show you it. The Supreme Appreciate, I told you I haven't got him as a single. Backed him for the Albert Bartlett. Hey ho, he's in a few bets here, a few multiples, got plenty of cover, so he's not a bad result if he goes in to kick off some stuff for the rest of the week. Bally Adams, marginally better probably because I get the money in the bank from the single, and then he sets up a Bob Orange double where I backed them at, I think they were 25s and 33s in the summer, so that's off a £2 bet, I think. Maybe even a £1 bet, you know, block bets. Anywho, and then Bally Adam goes on to Honeysuckle, Bally Adam goes on to Kilgrit, so like he's an okay one. Metier that I haven't got as a single, and obviously he's second fav in here. He's in a block bet here, 25s Metier going on to 10s Bob Ollinger and 6-1 Brave Man's Games. That's okay. Send some money on to Billaway, potentially Champ, Epitant, Monkfish, Envoy, Sergahard. So again, I touched on him in the bumper, didn't I? That I haven't really got much on him. The doubles and multiples that he's in and where they start with him aren't great either, but potentially after the first day we might have some money going on him, and if not, I can always put some cash on. What else have we got after that? We'll go down to Arkle. Shishkin, I backed him singly, and you can see there for multiples, like he's not in an absolute abundance of them. This is the stupid double that I crapped my pants and decided to switch. That was 475 that paid, so just stupid, but again, 90 quid. If my festival rides on 90 quid difference, then I'm pretty disappointed. He's in a few. That's a nice novelty one. £5 Sky free bet that pays £5,000. Obviously, Shishkin Envoy. The first two of those to run that are the shortest prices. You give Paisley half a chance in the stairs, I suppose. If that happens, I've got a nice watch in the Gold Cup of the Fav going for £5,000. And then let some more money going on Shishkin and Galvin and Paisley Park. Champion Hurdle, I've got Honeysuckle. I got Goshen for like a little bit in doubles and stuff, like a little bit of cover in there. But really, I want Honeysuckle to go in. And where I talked about the stake, I've got 100 on her at average odds of 11-2 to win the race. She's in a lot of multiples as well that kick off a few bits. And even if we go back up to Appreciate it, we looked at some of them. She's in a few of those as well. So still want Honeysuckle to win the Champion Hurdle. Ultima, we got Happy Go Lucky. It's in there. That sets up a couple of, again, weird block bets for £1 that pay reasonable doubles. In that race, I've got Milan Native that's got some cover. That's in, again, some doubles and stuff with other horses that I've got at nice prices. So, I mean, these are Dreamweavers. That's why I prefer to bet mostly in the singles, but pays okay on its own. Just a bit of cover really in it. Mares, I've got Concertista into multiples. I've got Roxana into multiples. So again, hopefully we get something out of that, and then sets things up for the rest of the week. And then in the National Hunt Chase, now I touched on the fact that I haven't got Galvin back to the single, but I've got him in some covers. I put this bet on, which was 5 horses, which are these 5 here: Galvin, Monkfish, Sergahard, Paisley, and Salsaretta. Don't ask me why I put Salsaretta in, but I did. That was around the time I was still lumping Benny as well. Maybe I wanted to get something different in there, but at least she's still in. Wednesday at 10 o'clock, she might be taken out, but until then, the bet's still live. It was pound trebles, so 10 of them, pound fourfold, so 5 of them, and a pound acca, so 1 of them, 16 quid staked. The fourfolds are offering me 150 quid now. The trebles are 130 or 40, I think, and then the acca's like 40 quid. So off a 16 quid layout, it's quite nice. Galvin, I just obviously want, if he won, he sets the ball rolling on a lot of these. And that one where I've got the most likely one, the Galvin, Monkfish, Sir Gerhard, Paisley, pays 4,300. So although the cash out looks semi-tempting now, you just let Galvin go. Because I've got the cover on the other horses, I've got Next Destination as a reasonable payout as a single anyway. Then he sends some money on to Brave Man's Game. So like, I feel okay in that race, but there's obviously a few that are in there with chances. But again, you'll see the way that I've scattered it, and I don't want to be too top heavy on a race. Like, I don't want to say to you, whoa, I really need this horse to win, otherwise 50% of my bets go down, because I think it's the wrong way to play anti-post. But other people might want to do that. Other people might want to have £1,000 worth of a betting bank and have two £500 bets, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just whatever you do, just make sure you're good at it. On this, the Ballymore, I've got the singles well covered. Look, there was some doubles you saw there from the day before, the Bally Adam one, especially going to Bob Ollinger. We'll see how things stand, but I'm okay with them. There's a few bets that go on after, off the back of any of the trio winning. So Gerard de Mesnil, Bob Ollinger, or Brave Man's Game. So I'd be hopeful that I'm doing all right there. That's a nice one from Brave Man's Game going on to Statler, because Statler's in there at 40. So you can see how potentially you can have some horses running for you later in the week for reasonable amounts of money. But again, we just need a little bit of luck, don't we? So Monkfish, you saw he was in no singles. He's in some doubles starting on the first day, so there might be some more cash going on him. Wouldn't be huge amounts, but he's in that novelty Galvin multiple, so we could really do a Galvin going in first day to keep these bets alive. Away from that, he's on and in with a couple of other horses, so like, he's going to win, isn't he? But I should have backed more of him at 10s at the start of the season. I didn't. But again, if one horse was going to make or break my festival, then I'm probably doing it wrong. Chacon Poursoir is another one that he's in with Envoy, he's in with Monkfish, and he's in with Shishkin. So, like, he looks fairly good, didn't he? But just the unknown around Cheltenham and stuff, like, I was only so confident you could want to be about a horse like this. He's in some bets. Not much more to say about him, really. And then Bumper, the Sir Gerhard ones, they're obviously mostly driven by the Galvin bit. This St. Calvados Tornado Fly and Novelty doubles are pants, basically. But there was a couple of doubles first day, wasn't there? Roxana and others that could send money on to Sir Gerhard. So if that works out, there'll be some cash riding on him. If it doesn't, I could back him, or I could use him to start some doubles and trebles going on to the Thursday, Friday. So again, the beauty of having the bet loader, of me updating the results as we go, I can reassess each day and say, have I got enough on all the horses that I want to have them on? If not, I can stick some more on. Within reason, of course. I mean, like, when Monkfish is as short as he is, I don't really want to be lumping onto a 4 to 7 poke. I'd rather just let the bets go as they are, and I win as much as I win, rather than chucking a few more quid on. And something like what happened with Duvan with the hip, I missed the boat. I should have had more on before. I haven't. So, is what it is. But if I wanted to, I could see that, and I could put him in a few multiples, but I'm not going to. Thursday, we're reaching the point now where, because the multiples in this list will be they'll be starting on the day that they obviously start on. So there'll be bets potentially by the time we come to Thursday. We've hopefully had a few winners on the first 2 days. I mean, the likelihood is most of the winners would come on the first 2 days, the way that I've bet. So hopefully there'll be a few more quid riding on some of these. So Paisley might be going for a few more quid. And there'll be a few others. Envoy, hopefully he'll have some cash going on that as a solo. But I feel fairly happy. It's a nice split across them. I'm not too top heavy in too many horses. Like Champagne Platinum slightly, but I'm glad I had 40 on him when I did. Then have 20 on at 25s, and then feel like I want to stick another few quid on when he's 6 or 7 to 1. So, like, I may have had like a little bit too much on him, but again, it's instead of having 25, I've had 40, so it's 15 quid. So in the grand scheme of a £5 bank, who cares? There'll be some more money staked on this day, though, for sure, because I want to back Time to Get Up in the Kinmure. I probably want to back Min, and I probably want to back Sully Dock in the Stable Plate. So we'll see final decks for that tomorrow, and then we'll see how things have gone in the first couple of days. But feels all right for going in for the Thursday. And then Friday, again, we'll just need to see what's rolling onto it. Like, there's nothing in here that's going to save my festival on its own, but there's a few chances in there, I'd say, for at least a few hundred quid. Plenty of cover in a few races as well. So, I mean, I'd be hopeful of getting a few quid back from that anyway. And then just hopefully we've had some winners on the first couple of days, or few days that roll into it. Also, things like the County and the Martin Pipe. Like Martin Pipe, I'm pretty sewn up on, but the County, we might see some form lines go through the week. We saw it last year with Indefatigable when Dame de Compagnie won the Coral Cup. That form line worked out for those two. So, there's time to reassess the latter stages in the week. So that is pretty much it. That's everything that's in there. Obviously, I don't want to go through every single line of the 400 odd bets that are in here, because it's pointless. There's plenty of losers that are in here that haven't made it to the festival. But as I say, the top line figure is I've lost 21% of my stake as you look at it. So that's why people don't like anti-post punting. But if you look at how much it would cost me now to put myself in exactly the same position, I'm much better off by betting anti-post than I would be leaving it until today. And I don't think to look at it now, like if someone said to me, like, would you want to buy this book for, say, well, let's just say £8,000, for example, like I probably wouldn't want to buy it for that much. I'd probably say I'll buy it for £6,000, bit of value in it, bit more than what person's staked for it in the first place. But the reality is it potentially is worth that much. Now, again, you could take the 70% slush off of there. Even if we took a bit off of there, it still brings it down, doesn't it? But just need a little bit of luck now. But I'm fairly happy with how I am going into the festival. Like I say, it's all about luck. Hopefully a few of you have got yourself in good positions as well. Hopefully those of you that are using the bet loader are finding it helpful, because I really, really do. The more I use it, the more I look at things, the more I realise where I can add bits of stake in there, or where I probably need to go easier on a horse, especially months and months out. And it is nice to get really loaded on a horse if it comes off, but it's also a bit annoying when you get to the festival. Like last year I sat here and I had a few at the top of this list that had no chance, so I didn't really feel very confident. I still made money last year. It wasn't a vintage year. I mean, Paisley would have turned it into a reasonable one, but this year I feel slightly more confident. And then, touch wood, things go well and we just get a few results our own way. And then there's other bits in here. I did this in the last video. I don't really think we bothered to do it in this one, but we've got like the results calculators in here. So when you have got the bet loader, you can assume if a couple of horses go in, what your returns are going to be. So I think we'll do it while we're here. The top 5 of my stakes in terms of total cover, if those 5 on their own just won, this was what the return was going to be. And then like maybe it looks bad, but obviously there's 28 races and hopefully we're going to get more than just the 5 winners. And this is only based on these ones. This is why I just want to say that I don't want to be too heavy in just 1 or 2 horses. But if we put these 5 in, for example, I think it pays just over £3,000. I put Envoy in for the mares. I mean, that's not going to pay anything, is it? There we go. So yeah, that pays just over £3,000 for those top 5, and they're obviously short issue prices. But like I said, we've got the happy-go-luckies. There's a few reasonable singles in there from other horses, and these potentially are setting up other races and other bets that could be coming in. So it gives you a bit of a feeler by able to use this. You can sort of make the dreams start to come alive. But now we're so close to the festival, it is literally tomorrow. We'll just sit back and wait and see how things go. I hope this isn't taken in the wrong way, like I'm trying to show off or anything, because that's the last thing I'm trying to do. But what I am trying to do is encourage people to bet smarter. It's the reason I want to put my content out there, and it's the reason I want to showcase how I find playing anti-post punting works, because you'll get people out there that will say, oh, look at me, I've backed this horse at 50s or whatever it is in there, and they won't show you the bad sides of it. I'm not saying that people have got bad sides to it, potentially, but it's very easy for us all to remember our winners and forget the losers, like the bad anti-post bets we've had in there, like my Envoy for the RSA, for example. But it is what it is, and you need to be open and honest with people, because the only way we learn is by doing, unless someone teaches us. I'm not saying that I'm out here to be the holy oracle and teach everyone about it, but I think by watching what I do and the way that I spread stakes, it will give you a vibe of how to do it. Now, it may not be everyone's cup of tea. You may prefer to say, do you know what, I'm going to go to war with a couple of grand or £500 and I want to stick a couple of lucky 15s, or I want to stick a couple of reasonable stakes doubles. That's fine. But I know I'm risk adverse when it comes to this Cheltenham way that I play it now. I'd rather try and build myself into a big, strong position and then just look at a potential overall return on investment. And because there's 28 races and things are obviously going on and we need a bit of luck, you can never be confident going in Cheltenham. I touched on the Duvan 1-4 when he did his hip. Like, we don't want anything like that to happen, but it will happen this week. There's 28 races. Something will happen. A horse will fall. A horse will get brought down. All these bad things. A horse will be injured, and we don't want any of that to happen. But it's what happens in sport. Now, whether it's a 50-1 poke that happens to, whether it's an odds-on poke, there's no special circumstances. No horse is immune to this sort of stuff, which is why I like to spread myself across quite lightly. It does mean that I'm going to have less potential mega bets that look out there, but you've seen from some of the ones I've got sat here, there's a few bets that have got, I would say, more than a chance of, not necessarily coming in, but at least setting a few decent ones up. And then that's just where you need that little bit of luck, where hopefully after the first couple of days, we've got some bets rolling on now where we've got a few £1,000s going off of 5 or 6 horses. And then it's just a case that if some miracle you can get 2 or 3 of those starting to come in, all of a sudden you turn a decent festival with a reasonable return on investment into a monster festival. And then you just get another car or something, can't you? Not that I'll be winning enough to get a car. I could probably buy some scrap metal. Anywho, I'm waffling again. Thank you. I'm sorry I had to re-upload this. Probably the second one's better anyway. You've seen that's in there. Any comments, anything like that, I appreciate what you guys support. Hopefully you all have a good week. Hopefully you'll have a good week, because I think it looks like it's okay. Don't be deflated by the field sizes. The best horses are there. Pick your battles. There's 28 races. Thursday, Friday would be more, I would say, the punty day for people that are getting involved now, as opposed to the anti-post punters. Just get your feelers with it. The handicaps all look nice and competitive. Just stay sensible with it. Enjoy the 4 days for what it is, and we're going to get so many clues for Aintree, Fairyhouse and Punchestown. It isn't just all about Cheltenham. Obviously, in this instance, with my bet load and the amount of stake like it is now, but we're going to get so many clues for form for going on. So just don't get too caught up in the betting side of it and any losses or anything like that. Just enjoy the racing, keep your eyes open, and we'll catch up soon. So thanks again for your support.